They've got what they need to make a run at a third straight national title as long as the quarterback position, which is a redundant statement, as long as the quarterback and play calling aren't outright weaknesses. That's from Bill Conley over at ESPN talking about Georgia's ceiling, which of course is 12 and 0, national championship, well, an undefeated season. And then the floor would be 9 and 3. I'm not totally sure where the three losses would come from, but I think that generally speaking, Bill's got everybody with 3 or 4 losses. He's got Alabama's floor at 8 and 4. He says their ceiling is 11 and 1. Until I see otherwise, I would say that Alabama's ceiling is 12 and 0. Uh, he says that Georgia's odds, and this is where I think he's correct. Georgia's odds of finishing 11 and 1 or better, 62%. So I'm going to give Georgia a loss to Tennessee. I got to find 2 other losses. I think it's probably higher than 62% if we're just being honest. Really quickly, make sure you're signing up for the newsletter. That link is down below, okay? That's very important so you can get all this sort of information when we write it. It's much longer form. Here's what Bill had to say. He said, biggest variable for the Dogs coming in is quarterback. Stetson is gone, and while his replacement, be it Carson Beck, sophomore Brock Vandagriff, or redshirt freshman Gunnar Stockton, will inevitably have more time, much more well-touted, inevitably have been much more well-touted than Bennett was coming out of high school. The bar is high, especially with new and old offensive quarterback Bobo. Still, the Dogs return tight end Brock Bowers and Lam McConkey, 3 offensive line starters, 4, and a majority of last year's starting defense. 4 of the 5 guys that started in the national championship game, as well as the game against Ohio State, which you talk about in Double Dogs, this is also down below. This book's going to be getting sent out to everybody very soon. I know a lot of new people that watch. Make sure you're picking up Double Dogs. It's a 80-page book about Georgia's national championship season. You're not going to read this stories in there anywhere else. 4 of the 5 guys that started in the national championship game returned. So, Warren McClendon left. Obviously, Lauren was a great player for Georgia. He did not start against Ohio State or play, and I do not think well, I know he did not start against TCU. I don't know how much he played against TCU. I think he did play, though. So 4 of those 5 guys, the guy they're missing is Broderick Jones, who is gone for good, probably in the first round. But, odds of finishing 11 and 1 or better, I would say that that percentage is probably higher, frankly. You're talking about they would have to lose to a Florida team that's completely rebuilt. First of all, you have to talk about they probably would have to lose to Tennessee, which I'm skeptical that will happen. I think that's the toughest challenge looking at the schedule. But a year ago, the toughest challenge was, on paper, the trip to Lexington after the Oregon game. I think coming into this is the part of the year that we're at right now. As Steve Spurrier would say, it's talking season. It's not even spring football yet, but heading into the year, there were not a lot of situations that people were like, oh, they can lose, they're going to lose that game. Everybody focused at this time of the year, obviously on Oregon, and then the Kentucky game sort of loomed. But as it turns out, it was the trip to Missouri that was that was more difficult than both of them. I don't know. It seems to me in looking at Georgia's schedule, you don't want to overthink things. There is no big start to the season. Georgia losing at home, going to be tough. All right. So their games with South Carolina, Kentucky, Mississippi, and Missouri, they could lose one of those games. South Carolina could be drastically better. I'm not sure I see that. Even if they are drastically better, let me rephrase that. I think South Carolina could be better. I'm not sure they're going to be drastically better, and I'm not sure that if they are drastically better, that will mean that they beat Georgia and Athens. All right, they are one of the few teams that has beaten modern Kirby Smart in Athens, and modern Kirby Smart means everything after the first year. First year, Vanderbilt beat Georgia and Athens. Tennessee beat Georgia and Athens. That might be it. And they lost to Florida. They lost to Ole Miss on the road. Those are both away, and they lost another game. I can't remember where it was. Oh, it was Tech at home. So three of the 7 home games, or 3 of the 6, whatever it was, Georgia lost. They've lost one home game since. They've lost one home game since. That's it. So South Carolina coming in and doing that, Kentucky, I don't buy it. Then Missouri would have to be markedly better to win on the road. Mississippi, I doubt it. I really doubt it. But Mississippi has players. They have a very good play caller in Lane Kiffin. They just don't have. That's the time of the year for the Rebels that things don't go great. It seems. Let me look up Ole Miss's 2023 schedule, and they have really, last year it really they slowed down pretty hardcore once they got into November, and you kind of see why. Now this year coming up for the Rebs, it's gonna be kind of the middle beginning of the season. They host Mercer, they play at Tulane, and then they host Tech. So you'll kind of know where they're at to start with. Then they go Alabama, LSU, Arkansas, Auburn. I mean, it's tough out there, man. They got Vandy at home, and then Texas A&M at home before they go to Georgia. They're going to be eating some losses along the way. Now, how many and to who and so forth, and can the Rebs beat Georgia and Athens? Yeah, I mean they can. So can Missouri and Kentucky and South Carolina, but the likelihood of them doing that, I don't know. I think the Rebels are probably the one team that no one's going to really discuss a lot that can win in Athens. That'd be a pretty big upset, though. They're going to come into that thing probably as double-digit dogs, and of course the game at Tennessee. Look, most likely to lose is at Neyland, right? I mean, let's not get too crazy about things. Hey, listen, speaking of being crazy, our friends at DoorDash, they're delivering groceries. I cannot get past that. That is very important to me. For a limited time, our listeners here on Dog Post are getting 50% off a $20 value with $0 in delivery fees when you download the DoorDash app. Enter the code DAWG, DAWG, just like Dog Post, 50% off, $20 value, $0 in delivery fees when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store to enter the code DAWG. That's DAWG, DAWG, for 50% off of a $20 value. $0 in delivery fees with DoorDash, subject to change, terms apply. I would take advantage of that. It's Thursday night. I am having pork chops with rice, and I'm sure my wife will con a vegetable in there on me. But if I were getting DoorDash, it would be a very different conversation, wouldn't it? And I could get those pork chops from the grocery store now. Keep that in mind. I don't. I don't. I've been with this whole Kirby thing now long enough. I'm just. This is going off the top of my head. In 17, they had one regular season loss. That was to Auburn. In 18, they had one regularly season loss. Excuse me, that was at LSU. They had one regular season loss in 19. That was to South Carolina. In 20, they had two. They had at Auburn, excuse me, at Alabama, and the Florida game. They've not lost a regular season game since. So it doesn't mean that it will continue. And look, Bill, I think he does a very good job with his stuff. I do. And Bill, if you want to come on, let me know. Just reach out by Twitter or something like that. But I think it is going to be challenging for teams to beat this Georgia team, not because of Carson Beck or whoever the quarterback may be, not because of Mike Bobo calling plays. It's everything, man. It's all of it is kind of challenging. When Bill talks about finishing 11-1 or better for the other teams, he gives Ohio State a 39% chance of 11-1. Michigan is at 46%. It's got the Knowles at 19%. It's got Bama at 21% of 11-1 or better. Penn State 25%, SC at 19, LSU at 10, Oregon at 23. David Hale's favorite group, and then he's got the Vols. his number 10 group, in terms of statistically speaking, he's got them at 13%. 13% is not real high. The likelihood of that is not real high. He's got Clemson at 19% of 11-1 or better. I mean that means, according to Bill, that Clemson, Notre Dame, Utah, TCU, Washington, Tennessee, not Oregon, LSU, SC, uh, and Florida State all have an 80% chance or better, according to his statistics, of eating two losses in the season. I mean, is that what's going to happen? I don't know. That's a good question.